The following is a presentation of Prime Sports.
There we go!
All right.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. Oh, there's a customer.
All right. He hit good.
There's a customer.
Oh, there we are. Nice. Whoa! Wait a minute here. This one thinks it's big.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. No wimpy fish these. Oh, there's one. Ha ha ha. Oh, I'd forgotten how much fun smallmouth are. They are wonderful fish. Oh, a feisty feller. Well, that's a great piece of salmon and steelhead water out there. Hi, welcome to Fly Fishing Northwest. I'm Pete Van Gytenbeek, your host, and today we're on Oregon's Umpqua River. Not fishing for salmon or steelhead, but we're going to fish for smallmouth bass. You know, smallmouth bass is a much revered game fish in many parts of the country. On the Potomac River back east, on the Delaware, on the Susquehanna, up into Maine where it's a favored game fish, and all across the northern tier of states. And yet out here in the Northwest, we've not fished for smallmouth bass much, but there is a very good population, not just here on this river, but on the Snake and others. Probably the best known individual in the country, this part of the country, for smallmouth bass fishing is Denny Hannah. He has developed it on this river, and it is becoming popular. So Les Johnson, my sidekick, and I are here today to see if we can catch some of these bass, and of course, we brought Denny with us. Denny, a little bit about why this river? We've got smallmouth in a lot of spots now. Why here?
I think probably the main reason the smallmouth did so well when they started in here and were introduced in here is because of the food source in here. Gosh, we've just got all kinds of food, and hatches and bugs and crawdads and all different kinds of minnows. And one of the main things they got such a start on was squawfish minnows. They've just about cleaned up the squawfish population in this river. I think you're going to find that you can catch them on about anything today if the old sun's doing its job like I think it is.
Les, you've fished these guys a couple of times, haven't you?
I fished them with Denny a few years ago when it was just an exceptional day, and we did, 3 of us got 100 fish.
100 fish?
100 fish.
I'm ready. Let's go. All right. 100 fish, I got to see it.
That Pete's anxious. He's whipping that rod right out of there, Les.
He's ready. I'm ready. We're ready. Boy, what a day. Put that sunscreen on. You got it on?
Yeah. It's interesting water, Denny. We're fishing just a series of large rocks and slots, and it seems like if we let the fly drop down between the slot, the fish will, what you were talking about, it following it down and looking at it, and you move it and then it takes, huh?
Yes, that's what they do in the summer when it gets real hot a lot. But right now, I think the fish are just laying down there, and the reason they're not taking on the drop is because they're just a little bit lethargic with the water temperature being as cold as it is.
Now you had us rig up with sink tips this morning. Is that what you usually use here, or as the season progresses, do you go to floating lines? And
as the water warms, we go more to a floating line, and then as the water gets past the smallmouth norm of 68 to 72, well then they start going to the bottom and getting down in those colder stratas. So then you've got to go back to the sinking tip. But along about August, when that water starts cooling off again and comes back down from 80 down to 75 on back down to 65, in that range, you can start getting them with a floating line again.
Now, floating line to get surface, you get them on poppers and things
A lot
like
of popper
that?
action in
Really? So
in August. That's my fun month to fish them.
Huh.
They're more aggressive and they're hitting up close to the top. And you can get them on a popper because they're feeding on those little shad fry that are migrating down the river.
So you know, really to fish this kind of water well, you need oh, there was one. You really need several lines to
Yes,
cover
you
all
do,
the water, right?
to do it all right.
Because this full sink right now is getting down there.
Oh, there's a customer.
All right, he hit good.
There's a customer. Oh, there's a smallmouth jump. The water's getting warmer. Because you know, they do jump like crazy. I mean,
yeah.
Smallmouth that I'm familiar with back east, they just love to get airborne.
The bigger they get, seems like the higher they jump.
Yeah, they do, and they go right straight up too.
And spit that plug, especially if you're fishing plugs, they'll spit it right back in the boat at you.
Ah, the cute little fish. Well, I'll tell you what, young guy, if you'd send your mom up here, we'd sure appreciate it.
That'd be nice.
Want to exercise a little bit.
Everyone you hook, you think you've got a bigger fish than
They're
you've
just
got.
as cute as they can be, aren't they?
Better than the last.
Yeah, everyone you get, you think that it's a much bigger fish.
Yeah, they hit hard, and you know, even a little fish like that's got strength.
Well, guys, we're out of here. Let's get on down to that next good hole and start again.
Okay.
All right.
Need you to get up front, Pete.
We'll head downstream and let our viewers catch up on the commercial messages here. We'll be right back on Fly Fishing Northwest.
Great toss.
Fly Fishing Northwest on Prime Sports is brought to you by Internet Waterway, the premier online site for boaters and fishermen. www.iwol.com.
Oh, there we are. Nice. Whoa! Wait a minute here. This one thinks it's big.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
All right.
Mo better.
I thought you had a ledge for a little while there, Les. Thought you were doing like you did on that old salmon down there on the Rogue River with me a few years ago.
No, I cut this leader back that I was given. Now I got the strength in it here. You know. I don't know how big. You know, he may not be that big.
He's just tough. He's staying down good.
That's small. They never are that big. Smallmouth's never as
Look
big
at
as you
this.
think
He's
they
not
are.
very big.
No, they're just strong. It's a comedy routine. It really is watching him release
I
the
was
fish.
just noticing that.
It really is.
I like
I mean,
comedy
he's got-
routines. There we are. Boy, their eyes are red there.
Fiery red. Mad. Now, we got some blue-eyed ones around, too. You
You're
keep
kidding.
watching.
Is that right?
Keep watching, you'll see some with all blue eyes.
Really? That's nice. Well, welcome back. We've managed to get into a few small fish. We've run into a little high water. It's a little colder than we'd hoped, but the fish are beginning to hit. Sunshine stays on the shallows and the water will warm up, and we've got, what is it, 3-2 Les?
Oh, yeah.
It's a contest.
Well,
We're starting to see a few fish, so
it looks like we're on top of them now. I mean, Denny's found them.
Denny always finds it.
He does.
Prime time of the year then is, you said August, but here we are in fairly early June, and granted it's a little high water today, but if you were to put a beginning and end to the smallmouth season on the river, what would it be?
I'd say May 1st to October 31st.
And prime time just in August or other times too? At the end of June, is that
I'd
going to be
say
good?
whenever it starts to get foggy in July, and then those nights start to get shorter, or nights start to get longer, that makes that heating time during the day shorter, and that doesn't allow that water to heat back up after it cools off at night from those foggy nights. As soon as that water temperature starts to drop, that seems to be the best biting period of the whole year, and that is usually in this river from about July 20th to the end of August, into around the 1st of September. If you want to be real effective on catching lots of numbers of smallmouth on flies, I tell everyone to fish any fly you want as long as it has rubber legs. That seems to be the ticket that really turns them on. Those undulating legs must remind the smallmouth of a crawdad. Being the crayfish is one of the bass's favorite foods, why that's probably why they're...
Okay, but how about colors on these rubber leg flies?
That changes day by day.
So what are some of the popular ones?
However, black is not one of the best, but most everything else will work at some time or other during the day or from 1 week to the next.
Yellow?
Yep. Yellows, although yellow is not one of the better ones. I'd say blues, greens. Purple is an excellent color. They like that bright purple.
There we go!
All right.
You did give him the secret bug, didn't you?
Yeah, he
I
did.
told him
You
he-
gave him the secret
Did you notice
bug.
he didn't want to use that either?
I know it. He wasn't going to take it.
Did I say that?
Sure, and you know, here you got your guide feeling sorry for you, and
He
he's
kept
trying to
pushed
give
my
you this.
hand away 3
That's
times when I
right,
was trying to
and
give
he's-
him that bug.
Well, I
Trying to
tell you
give
what,
you
it
a
works
secret
every
bug.
time. Never discount pity.
Oh, I'd forgotten how much fun smallmouth are. They are wonderful fish.
I'll hold you right up here if I can.
Yeah, we'll get serious about this fella. And like so many of them, you know, he fights bigger than he is.
He's
They
the
all
biggest
do
fish
that.
today,
don't
and look
they?
at that big one following him. There's one twice his size right under my oar. See it?
Oh, wow, look at that.
There is.
Oh,
Cool.
that must have been the mate. You probably picked that one off of a nest over there. So they are spawning this time of the month.
Ooh, come on. He decided the shade of the boat is where he wants to be.
You've done it again. You've got a 5-weight rod and a 7-weight fish.
Well, that's fun, Les. Come on out of there. They just don't look at it. There's no way that fish is going to quit. And as much as I love trout, I'll tell you, you know, trout that size, they've already got him unhooked and he's back home. And this fella is just not going to give up.
This is a nice one.
Hey, that is a good one.
Okay,
Man,
there.
we got ledges everywhere here.
Ooh.
I want to measure that fish before you let it go if you can.
All right.
Let me get my measuring stick right here.
It's only about 14 inches, I think.
Pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah, he guessed it right to the dot. Les, has he caught a fish before? He said 14 inches, and that's exactly what it pulled.
Well,
Aren't
at
they
least,
cute?
yeah, I like a guy that hits it on the
Well,
dot.
now you go back
Look at
and
the belly on that fish. That fish
Yep.
still full of eggs, see?
you go back and do your thing and propagate the species, and we'll go to get a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Well, that was a nice one to take a break on.
Nice
wasn't it?
fish, absolutely. Nice fish. Gee,
That
they're
was a
fun.
beauty.
They are so much fun. Well, Denny, this is just an additional treat. I mean, here we got a wonderful guide, and not only that, we've got an outfitter who has his house on the river, and partway down through our float, we're able to stop and have a break. This is really a treat. Something I've been meaning to ask you, how long have you been here? When did you come to this, this part of the world, and why?
Well, I wanted to change the lifestyle, and that's why I moved from Ohio out to Oregon. After I got to Oregon, I fished all around. I've been fishing this river since '68. And I had a place down on the coast, and I sold that, and I was looking for another place to move, and I've always had my eye on this area. It's been one of my favorite areas from Elkton to Sutherland or Elkton to Tyee because of the wildlife in this area. There's such an abundance of different creatures to watch. And from my deck here, I get to watch that right at dark in the every evening, and every morning at daylight, I like to climb in a hot tub and sit there and watch the geese come down the river, or the beavers flapping their tails.
No, we drove up the road this morning and saw an otter just off the river, and wild turkey. I mean, it was a real treat.
What I'm faced with here is an area from here on southwest, close clear to Coos Bay, and it's all it's not a declared wilderness area, but it is a wild area. It's a logging area from both sides of me for several miles and down through there.
So it explains why it's such a great spot for wildlife.
Yeah.
There's another question I wanted to ask. We chatted about lines and reels and things, different flies as we came down the river, but I was curious, this is such a salmon, trout, and steelhead area, and you've really introduced people to smallmouth, and I'm sure you've had a lot of dyed-in-the-wool steelheaders and salmon guys. What's been their response?
Well, I commercial fished for salmon for about 3 years myself, yeah. And I could see the handwriting on the wall at that time that the salmon population was going to be going down. And then as I sport fished for them, and I ran a charter boat out of Winchester for another 3 years, and I see the population going down and down, and I thought, well, I better be finding something else to start fishing for. And so I started the John Day fishery for smallmouth over there in the 70s, and it kind of dwindled out for a while. And about that time was when the smallmouth were introduced and migrated down the stream from South Fork down into here. Well, I thought, well, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of the salmon for me and for my clients if I can move them in and shift them into smallmouth bass, and it's something that we've been able to catch lots of and have a lot of action. And
well, did they take to it? I mean, do they like it? That's what I'm curious about.
The old dyed-in-the-wool salmon fishermen, at first they didn't think that smallmouth belonged in this river, that they were going to eat up all the salmon smolt. But my question is, if that's the problem, then why are some of these other rivers that don't have any smallmouth, why don't they have any salmon either?
But it takes care of that argument, doesn't it?
But this fishery does bring a lot of fishing enjoyment for kids, because it's not like sitting in a cold, wet drift boat all day trying to catch a steelhead or a salmon for a kid. He can come here in the summertime when the weather's good, a kid from 7 or 8 years old up to 12, 14, and he can catch lots of smallmouth. And for a kid that hasn't caught many fish, that is a sure way to get them started and get them hooked on the fishing bug instead of playing the pinball machines.
Or worse.
Yeah.
That's really true. I know with my youngsters and lots of my friends, I watched them, the girls and the boys both, and if you can get them into good fishing, they'll take to it right along. If they go out and they don't catch anything, they lose the fun.
You haven't got
which makes me remember that we're over here to catch a few fish.
Yeah.
And I'm about ready to go back on the river. How about you?
I think we've waited long enough for that sun to get up now and warm it up down on this next gravel bar where we're going. There ought to be some in there spawning.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. That's a nice fish, Les. Looks good.
Sure, now you guys are saying that.
That's right. About time. That's what we're really saying,
Woo, tail walker.
You're the guy with the experience here.
Not with these.
Oh, there's one.
Double on. Okay.
I was afraid you started to catch up, Les. I figured I better get serious about this game.
I loved this. I love punching that thing twice at a time.
There's a red-eyed one again.
He's got a blue-eyed one, I think.
All right. Nice fish.
Get away from the oar, you silly fish.
Tough little guy.
Bring it right up. Don't throw yours back yet, Les.
I did.
Okay.
gone.
Make a difference. I thought this was a blue-eyed one. I was going to show you the difference.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. But it wasn't.
Like you
Okay.
said, let's right on the bottom.
3 casts, 3 fish. That's the way I like them.
Ooh, a feisty feller.
Take water with him. I'll put him on here.
You're such strong little fish. Boy,
Okay.
it'd be fun to get one about 3 pounds. You can really put on a tussle here. Maybe they send these children back and tell them to send Mom up.
She's down there. You can bet on that.
Well, I think so.
Yeah, I'll be lazy again.
Okay.
There we go. Real little one this time. Maybe mini central.
Well, about time you know what it's like to get a small one.
Well, it's 3 to 1 though in this hole.
Okay.
We don't want that one to get above water. That is small fish of the day. Takes the small fish pool. But it counts, Les.
He's a good one. He's
Hey,
a
they all
counter.
count, right?
That's right.
Right there. The tally goes up.
Ah! Missed him. Boy, he was there. He must have been little.
Leg biter. All
Leg
he's
biter.
doing is holding on to the leg. Not getting a hold of the hook.
Leg biter.
Yeah,
I
he
love
was,
it.
Yeah, he was. That's, yeah,
That's
he was, must have been
great.
just a tiny one or something.
Oh, leg biter.
A leg biter. If anyone would know about that, it'd be you, Hannah.
That's right.
Denny, what do you think? It's getting a little,
Well, not knowing for certain and having deep regard for the truth, I rather hesitate to expostulate to any degree of accuracy which might pertain to final analysis and be evident in a mutual observation.
What do you
in
say?
other words, they're not fighting.
That's it.
That's
Not
it.
biting?
I've noticed that.
Well,
Quit.
let's move on downstream.
All right, let's
Let's
pull up
do
the
it.
anchor and move on downstream.
And we'll see you pretty quick with more Fly Fishing Northwest.
I can't believe this, folks. We're in a western stream. It's afternoon and the wind is blowing downstream. That does not happen. This is anti-American. I mean, it's just because you're not on the oars, Denny. That's the only reason.
Yeah. As soon as I pick the oars up to head
wind-
out of here,
it'll shift.
be an upstream gust on it
Got that
for the
right.
next 2 hours.
Hook and release is the one way we'll save what we've got.
That's right.
That's it. Recycle. That's what it's all about.
I might have copped the first and second prize for small fish here.
No, you haven't got that too. No way. Oh yeah, there we go.
Hey.
Nice barbless hook came right. Boy, those eyes are red. Isn't that something?
He's probably out on the town last night.
Yeah,
you
he
know.
looked.
The smallmouth. They're kind of street fighters. Well, Les, another great day. This has been a beautiful day on just a wonderful river.
Oh yeah, I just love coming down here. It's just incredible country, beautiful river, and I like the fishing.
I can see why. Denny, I can see why you worked on this river and why you like it.
Oh.
Denny Hannah,
Gotta
you've
like
just
home.
been you've been wonderful. Like the hospitality, the guiding, and Lou Benson,
Thanks,
another
Pete.
outfitter on the river. Thanks for pushing that camera boat around for us. You did a great job.
Rough job.
Thanks a lot. Take care, you guys. We'll see you again.
Okay.
Well, we come to the end of the show every time. We hope that you've learned something about smallmouth bass. They're a wonderful game fish. You ought to come down here to the Umpqua or some of the other fine rivers in the Northwest and give the smallmouth a try. They are richly deserving. Well, at any rate, we'll see you next time. So this is Pete Van Gytenbeek wishing you tight lines.